All right, you saw the title of this video, you clicked on it because you're thinking you're gonna find some magic formula to stop your fish from fighting each other. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but there is no such thing. But don't click off this video just yet. There might not be a formula that guarantees to stop aggression, but there are little tricks that you can do that might help it, with the key word being might. Now let's analyze this for a second, and I think you'll find it to be pretty much common sense. Let's talk about Oscars, one of those fish that people automatically bring up when they're talking about aggression. This is a fish that's going to eat another fish if it can fit in its mouth. Is it because the Oscars mean? No, it's instinctual. This is what they eat. They're programmed at birth to eat things that swim around. You think you're going to take that out of them? Here's another example that has to do with an animal that's in the water, but it's not a fish. Let's talk about alligators. Let's say you live in Florida right next to the water, and you hear stories all the time about alligators popping up out of the water and eating ducks. It's very sad, but it is what it is. This is what alligators do. So you decide to catch one of those alligators and bring it home to put it into a glass box because you're an insane person, and you fill that glass box with baby ducks. Are you going to be mad at that alligator if it eats those baby ducks? Well, you can be, I guess, but this is just alligators doing what alligators do. If they eat the baby ducks, it's because you're the dumbass that put an alligator in a box full of baby ducks. This is the same as putting an Oscar or a Texas cichlid or a Doveye or any other big old nasty cichlid in a tank full of little tetras. You're not going to be able to stop them from eating those. So what do? Obviously, there's something that can be done. Otherwise, everyone's aquarium would just have one fish in it. What's the deal? Well, this is where I'm going to give you these few tips and tricks, things to think about that might help you out. But again, you never really know. This hobby is one of those things where you can do everything right and things can still go wrong. But if you follow these rules, you should be okay. But don't comment to me if you make a mistake and all of your fish get eaten. It ain't my fault. I didn't put them in there. The first is, well, pretty obvious. It's what we were just talking about. You have to mix the right fish in the right tank. And sometimes even that doesn't work exactly the way you would expect it. I have my 360-gallon aquarium that has 3 Oscars, 3 bikers, and what used to be 2 Sevrums in there. The Oscars and the Sevrums lived harmoniously. Everything was great. And we're talking about like 4.5, 5 years that these fish were all together. They grew up together. They were friends. And guess what? One day, the Oscars decided, that's it. We want to have some fun. They killed one of our Sevrums. It was horrible. It was very sad. And, you know, we couldn't see it coming. So in a situation like that, like I said, you're mixing these fish that should be able to go together, and it still didn't work out well. So, you know, you try your best. Don't do things that are obvious. Don't put those little tetras with your Oscars. Don't put little teeny guppies with a bunch of Texas cichlids. Forget it. I mean, you're kind of asking for what you get from that. Make the right decisions as far as mixing the fish together. Don't be stupid, and you should be fine. But you can follow that rule, and your fish can still get killed. They killed arowanas, too. Those Oscars are savages. Thankfully, they don't touch my bikers, because if they did, we'd have a problem. If they started hurting crab, goyle, and Draco, oh boy, there'll be hell to pay. The next thing I think is something that a lot of people overlook, and a lot of people don't realize they're making a mistake when they do this, and that's not having an aquarium large enough to accommodate fish aggression. So here's what I mean. If you have a bunch of mean fish in a little tank, those fish don't have anywhere to go to escape each other. If you have fish that are notoriously mean, convicts, the list is long, Oscars, make sure they're in something that's not only large enough to accommodate them and their size, but also for their tank mates to retreat. This is why I always tell people, if you're going to keep Oscars or really any big cichlids, you need to have them in at least a 6-foot tank. Not only does that give them room to run around, but it also gives their tank mates somewhere to go to get far away from them. If you put them in a little tank, they only have this far to go. It's just going to be relentless. And the fish that are aggressive are never going to stop being aggressive. Give them somewhere to retreat to. Give them little places to go that are far enough away, and that should help. But one thing that I hope you learn from this video is, if a fish is mean, there ain't nothing you can do. You can't pull them out of the tank and say, you stop that, you. It just doesn't work. So make the right decisions, but at least put them in something big enough so that they don't constantly, they're not up each other's asses wanting to fight each other. That's critical. Now, another thing that you can do, which would certainly apply to the tanks behind me, but maybe not my Oscar tank because there is only one decoration in there, you can redecorate your aquarium. I know that sounds ridiculous. We think that our fish are stupid. They're not. They get used to their environment. They get used to the way things are. If you mix things up, if you change the decorations in there, you move it around, it's almost like everything resets and they have to rethink their attitude again. This is a particularly good trick for African cichlids. They get used to it, they build a hierarchy, everybody falls in line, and you hope that everybody gets along. But if they don't, you can redecorate things and the fish are like, what is this? Where are we? And they forget their hierarchy. They have to start all over again and fall in line and do that whole thing. The hierarchy process with African cichlids can be a difficult thing for them to get through without wanting to kill each other. But if there's chaos, if there's new environment, if there's just, I don't know where I am, this is weird, this is crazy, they're not thinking about wanting to kill each other. They're thinking about, okay, I'm in a new space. Where am I going to occupy? Where's going to be my spot? What am I going to claim as mine? They're not thinking of killing each other. I have found that to work particularly well with African cichlids, because if there's one thing that we all know about African cichlids, you're going to deal with aggression with these fish. And it's a really good thing to try to take that out of them and reset their brain. Doesn't always work, but a lot of times it does. If you're in a situation like I'm in with my 360, there's only one decoration in there. There's only so much you can do. I can move it 6 inches to the left. That's not going to do anything. So this wouldn't apply to you. But with some of your more intricate aquascapes and stuff like that, you can redecorate it. In my case, these are all real rocks. They're really heavy. That would be a huge pain in the ass. But if I got to do it to save some of my fish, that's what I got to do. And I've done it, and it helps. Now, the next thing to ask yourself is, why? Why are they being aggressive? Are they being aggressive because that's just what that particular fish does? Oscar, Dovii, Texas, Red Devil, you know. Are they just notoriously mean? That's just in their nature? Or is there something else going on? There's one thing that could be happening in aquariums that can cause fish to get real mean, and that's breeding. Are they breeding? Angelfish are notorious for this. They're called angels. So you think, oh, they must be so sweet. They're not if they want to breed. Are they protecting eggs? Are they protecting their mate? Are they protecting their territory that they plan to spawn in? If you're seeing this kind of behavior, then you really have a couple options. One is separate those two. It's kind of sad if you think about for the guy. It's like, man, you took my chick away from me. It's kind of mean, but it'll stop that behavior instantly because the male or the female, whichever one is the aggressor, is not going to have any reason to be aggressive anymore. Like, you took my man away, you took my old lady away. They're not going to have that thing to fight over anymore. They're going to stop that whole thing. Or just take the pair out, and this could actually be fun. Take the pair out, put them into an aquarium by themselves, and let them do their thing. They're not going to be mean to each other. They're going to do their thing. They're going to have their babies, and you get free fish out of it. Everybody wins in that situation. But if it's breeding behavior that's causing them to be so aggressive, you need to remove that from the equation. It's not as simple as just give them their space and they're going to be, no, it doesn't work that way. I was in a fish store one day. They had an aquarium full of Jack Dempsey cichlids. It was like a 300-gallon aquarium, and there was probably 300 fish in there. There was 2 on one side of the aquarium sitting there, and 298 more were over in this corner, and they were all like, like sitting there miserable, like terrified, and it's because that pair had pushed everybody over there. They said, look, if y'all don't want to die, you need to go over there, stay over there. You stay over there, or I'm coming for you. You stay over there. It was funny, actually. It was sad because you see the fish and they're scared. They're like, oh no, but that's what they do. And so if that's happening, what are you going to do? You take that breeding pair out, you put them somewhere else, and you will instantaneously, all of those fish will go, oh, those jerks are gone? Oh, cool, let's go. And then the last one, this is obvious. This is something that is, a pretty much, it is a guarantee, but then again, it's not. But don't buy aggressive fish to begin with. Don't buy fish that your pet store has labeled as aggressive. Don't buy fish that you've watched videos from the King of DIY or Caveman Aquatics or Primetime Aquatics, and they've said, hey, these fish are really mean. They're notoriously aggressive. Don't buy those fish unless you're going to put them in a species-only tank or give them a situation that is conducive to them and their poor attitudes, set up specifically for those aggressive fish. But if you want to stay away from this and you just want peace and tranquility and you want this to be beautiful, stay away from fish that are labeled as aggressive. Don't automatically fall for this thing of, oh, community fish. Community fish are always nice. 2 words, tiger barbs. They're not all very, very nice. They're not as mean as Oscars, and Oscars aren't mean, and how dare you say that, John? My Oscars are sweet, except for the times that they've killed other fish. But I think Oscars get a bad rap, and for whatever reason, when we talk about fish that are mean to other fish, we always bring up Oscars. Even me, I do that. But if you buy a fish that everyone knows is mean, and your fish is mean, well, whose fault is that? Just stay away from those fish. Buy fish that you've never heard a story. You've never heard a story of Congo tetras killing other fish. You've never heard of cory cats, rummy-nosed tetras, cardinals, neons, danios. You've never heard of those fish being mean. So it's pretty safe. You can put them in there and you just don't have to deal with this at all. Just be done with it. I personally love fish that have a little bit of a mean side to them. I don't know why. I've just always been that way. I've always been into African cichlids and monster fish, but I do also appreciate the cute and pretty and beautiful little fish that wouldn't hurt a fly. I love that too. So if you're setting up a tank that you don't want any risk at all of any aggression, then buy fish that aren't going to give you any of that. Look around. They're out there. It's not hard to find. They're everywhere. In fact, the majority of fish are compatible with each other and they're nice and they're going to be fine. Just stay away from fish that are large enough to put other fish in their mouth, because even if it is something that's labeled as a community-friendly fish, if it can fit another fish in its mouth, it's going to eat it. So that's not the fish being mean. That's just them taking advantage of an opportunity. You can't be mad at the fish for that, but stay away from all of those and you should be fine for the most part. But once again, like I said, you can do everything right. You can follow every rule in the book. You can have a big giant tank. You can do it right and things still don't work out for you. I mean, I love my Oscars, but they've caused some problems. I got a sad Severum in there by himself now, and he's very sad because he doesn't have anybody to run around with anymore. And it's very depressing to see. But I'm not mad at them. This is what they do. Oscars do what they do. If I put a baby duck in front of an alligator, I can't be mad at that alligator for eating that baby duck, because I knew that that was a possibility that could happen. You have to take a look in the mirror sometimes. And you have to say, did I set this up? Did I put this here for the fish to do what they did? If that's the case, I only have myself to blame. So yeah, make good decisions. If you've made a decision and it turned out to be the wrong one, I hope the little tricks that we talked about here today have helped you out. This is a hobby that, we don't want things to go bad. We're trying to help our mental health. We're trying to provide beauty and tranquility. That's the second time I've said that word in this video. We're trying to create something peaceful and beautiful and nice. We don't want to deal with aggression. I get it. Make the right decisions. If you make a wrong decision, hopefully these tips that I've given you can help you out. Anyway, that's it. Thank you. Bye.